You see people get hundreds of thousands of dollars into cars.
Yeah.
So you're going to put a bunch of time and money in it, and it's all for a loss.
Yeah.
So you can write it off as a learning experience, but you got to know when to stop.
Yeah.
But some people don't. Next thing you know, he's got $300,000 into this car that, like, some pristine example went through Barrett Jackson and got $32,000.
Oh. Welcome back to another episode of Modify with TrickFactory Custom. That sounded weird when I said it.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I know the tonality I used was kind of weird. But if this is your first time watching, my name is Elvis.
Tim. Always working,
Nolan.
man.
On the phone.
My name is Nolan.
Nolan. Oh, okay, that's a cool one. Very, very chill today.
Yeah.
Enrique was the last. No, I forgot which one was the last one, but that was good. Yes, Nolan. Okay, sweet. Yes, and that's Rob. And
I'm gonna stick to my own name from now on.
When people meet you in person, they'll be like, they use like one of the old.
What was your name again?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Yeah.
I'll be like, so am I.
But on this episode or on this podcast, we talk about modified cars, and occasionally we stir the pot up and get people mad. Like this past week, a lot of people got mad on our video. We did a previous podcast on takeovers and why they are the worst thing ever created since the invention of the automobile, and a lot of people agreed with us, but a lot of people were upset, and we have since learned a lot of things or words and captions like no cap and finna, and what else?
There's a lot of them. I don't think
there was a lot. I don't even remember them. Like it's
I mean, we knew lit. There's ONG. On God, yeah.
They're very religious guys that are out running people over with their cars.
Yeah. Yep. And people telling us that we suck and that they make the car community more lit by running into people.
Yeah, like lit on fire.
I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To watch it burn.
I know.
It's pretty easy to disagree with that.
Yeah.
That was last week's topic. You'll have to listen to that or watch it.
And on this week's topic, I think it's going to be a more chill episode, but it's still going to be a lot of fun because
we're not going to fire anybody up.
I mean, we could, yeah. We're discussing cars as investments.
Cars as investments.
Yeah, because I feel like ever since I've been growing up, or it's something that I've been always trying to convince either like my parents about or my significant other. I'm like, anytime I buy a new car, I'm like, or before I buy a car, I'm like, this car is an investment. It's going to be awesome. It's going to make me money. It's going to be, it's amazing.
Yeah, but there's levels to it.
True.
So,
yeah. So we're going to discuss.
Sorry.
No, what were we
So we're going to discuss the investment.
Yes. Are cars investments or are they just money pits? Because a lot of times for me, they turn out to be the exact opposite, and I end up losing a lot of money and end up regretting my decisions, but I still end up doing it over and over and over again. So we're going to be talking all about that, and I want to know what your opinions are too, because I know that depends depending on what you're talking about. But so with that said, what's been happening for you guys this week? What's been going on?
More of the same.
What is that? What have you been doing?
What is the same?
Chasing
Exactly.
parts, talking to customers, putting fires out.
Dealing with your Evo. What's been happening with that thing? You've been struggling a little bit.
Yeah, my eyes are still burning right now
From the fumes.
from the tuning session you just put us through.
We have a voltage differentiation between the two throttle bodies.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
we've been troubleshooting troubleshooting part's over. We know what the problem is now. Now I have...
Is it the throttle body that's the issue or not?
No. So we checked all that. Now it's got to be a wiring issue.
So the basic problem is whenever you stomp on the throttle, it doesn't open all the way. One opens all the way, one does not.
The voltage range, as long as I stay within the range, like within a certain range, it's fine. But as soon as I go full throttle, then it kicks the safety and shuts my throttle bodies off.
Yeah, well, that sucks.
So one of them's getting too much voltage. So it's the actual wiring that's sending too much voltage, and as soon as it gets too much voltage, it trips it and goes into the safe mode. So it was a little bit of troubleshooting.
Yeah.
But we got it now.
Oh, sweet. Okay, that's good.
And
wow, I haven't fixed the problem yet.
Okay,
but we know what the problem is.
Yeah.
So
nice.
At least I don't have to send any parts out. I just got to chase a little bit of wiring and get the same voltage values going to both throttle bodies, and then we should be good.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a unique thing that happens is like it starts over revving at idle because of the differential of voltage between the two different throttle bodies.
Yeah.
And then it starts creating vacuum, and it'll actually pull one throttle body open, so it continues to increase the idle.
Yeah, it's a weird deal.
Yeah, that's very.
You don't want that.
Twin throttle body problems.
Yeah. If you just had like a normal intake, like a normal LS with a single throttle body.
It looks sick though with the dual throttle. It looks amazing with two throttle bodies.
Yeah, no, it's not that big of a deal, right?
Is it possible to run make it a what's it called? A cable managed dual throttle body or no?
Yeah, of course it is.
You can.
Of course you can.
Oh, okay.
It's just uglier. The drive-by-wire system is way cleaner looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's more potential for tuning with the drive-by-wire, right? I mean, you have auto blipping, you have all kinds of rad shit that you want.
Yeah. So,
so anyways, it's just more tuning, more potential things to sort of work your way through.
And then what's been going on your end, Rob?
The last week has been all 240SX stuff. We have a car that we're waiting for the engine to come back from the builder right now, and I just been working my way through all the chassis mods,
preparation.
Yeah. So we did. It's an S13 chassis. We did an S15 rear subframe swap into it. It's got all the GK Tech things that you could possibly hope to have. All that, so just getting all that stuff installed and fuel cell situation upgraded. Just working my way through that. Yeah,
sweet.
So it's coming along. We're almost done with all that. We'll just hopefully get that motor back soon, and we'll finish it up.
Yeah, and the motor is it Australia? That's crazy.
Well, the head's
in Australia.
The head got sent to some super guru over there. Apparently, it's like these guys are,
the S chassis gods.
Yeah, so it's getting like all titanium stuff and everything, and it's a pretty serious upgrade. But the clock is ticking. We've been waiting, but I mean that's fairly typical. So that's why we're just working our way through a bunch of other little things while we wait.
We hydrate. Sorry, that's a guy on TikTok that does like cooking and things, making crawfish boils and things, but different podcasts. But yeah, it's exciting to see that thing finally coming together. Yeah, because cool. You put the rear diff in, you put pretty much all the components for the suspension for the most part are all in place now. Yeah. And with that, hopefully I'll get his S chassis at some point, or the old chassis from his car, the subframe, into mine.
You got some plans. You've been eyeballing some of these takeoff parts. You want that F13
that's more exciting,
don't you?
Yeah, because it's like a vast improvement.
Yeah, over what it was.
This is like nitpicky.
But then I've been looking at things like I was showing Rob a few days ago. I don't think I showed you, but I was like, wait a second. On my feed, I saw a Mustang, a 2018 Mustang GT subframe for like with everything in it, with the diff for like $500 and something US.
That would be a significant upgrade.
Well, that's what I was saying too, right? But
I was like, oh my gosh, the only problem is...
So, no, there's more than one issue. And because you have a 280ZX, right?
Yep.
So, what were the things that we were talking about, Elvis? There's a couple of points that we were discussing.
The track width for the Datsun is quite a bit narrower.
So, that's questionable,
the Mustang is like almost a full foot.
So from the 280ZX,
I know, that's what I told Rob.
Your 280ZX has a track width of whatever, pick a number. The Mustang GT, 2018 Mustang GT, we measured it, we looked up the specs. It's 13 inches wider
So pretty much a foot and
13 inches
that's
wider.
exactly what I told Rob. I was like, this is perfect because my current wide body on either side in the back, it's about 5 or 6 inches. So I just need to widen it some more.
Wide body, the wide body.
Oh,
Well, you see, and Elvis said the exact same. Oh, I'll just go extra wide.
exactly.
And it's like, yeah, okay. I mean, you can do that, but
yeah. So and then the front, I need to widen it more. It's already 8 inches on either side
question
right now.
all of these things.
It needs to be wider. Like that, what's it called? We were talking about that 240Z, the Tyler Powell Z06, 240 Z06.
Yeah.
So sick. I love that thing. So
Yeah.
yes, I'm going to do a ZX version. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
But it's just exciting to be like, oh my gosh, this thing comes with an LSD already from the factory and all these nice upgrades that it would
You're
be
gonna
over
have
the
bigger
S
brakes
chassis.
in the back than you will in the front.
Huh?
The
bigger brakes in
Mustang
the back.
GT.
No, I'm not
rear
just going to do
brakes,
the back. I'm probably also going to do the front.
You'd have to do the front too. So we were looking at that too.
And the Corvettes as well, like Corvette, because I was like, ooh,
Why
you
don't you
can
just
also
get a Mustang?
No.
Yeah, just buy a Mustang.
Yeah.
No.
Then it's all together.
No.
No assembly
And
required.
then you could do a body swap.
Hey, no. No, I have thought about doing a body swap to the Datsun, but
Can you imagine body swap your ZX body onto the Mustang GT?
I'll be crucified by all the purists and even,
I don't really
I don't think
you
there's
care.
any Mustang purists out there. Is
No.
there? I don't know.
There's Datsun purists though.
There is Datsun purists.
Yes. So, but I don't really care. So, but yes, with that said, we're going to dive into the topic today. Can a car be considered an investment? And when or where, because I know I think there is a line that, first of all, actually, I'm just going to start out at the beginning. Because if you ask a normal person this question, they'll instantly tell you no, just because the average person is used to buying cars of 3 to 4 or 5 years old. And typically those cars depreciate and at least 20 to 30% of their value in this. This is boring talk, but to us, I don't know if that really matters.
No, you can make money on cars.
Okay.
For sure you can. On your daily driver, probably not. But then the other side of it is, for us, like, things that we invest in is, like, your return might not necessarily come from the sale of the car.
So like what usually would it?
Promo. Like, for us, like, if you look at the Evil Evo.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't really count because I have been offered probably more than what it cost to build, but that's pretty rare. But I mean, for the most part, it basically changed the entire shop, and it opened up to a whole different class of customers. So was it a good investment? Yeah, it was a tremendous investment in that respect. But it was purpose built for that purpose.
So you initially knew, okay, you sat down on a table. I mean, you wanted to build a car, but without like this shop or putting this shop into perspective, would you have built the Evil Evo regardless, like knowing, oh, this is going to be a sick car, or
probably not to the same
investment?
level.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Because
it's
it doesn't
pretty
need
safe
to be
say
what
that.
it needs to be.
Okay.
Like, it could be like, I mean, it's been mentioned 100 times. It could be 500 horsepower and it would be an awesome car.
Yeah.
But if you want to get everybody's attention, you got to be a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
And, you know, those people that are commenting how ridiculous they are wouldn't be commenting if I just
If it was just a typical run-of-the-mill LS swap.
Yeah, it'd be the opposite. It'd be like, oh, there's another one.
Yeah.
But no matter what you say, you can't say my LS swap is typical either. And if you do, you're just hating.
Yeah.
So was it a good investment? Yeah, it was a tremendous investment.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as resale, it's depreciating every day.
Yeah.
Because I could get the money for it when it was fresh and the hype was there. But as the hype subsides, it's depreciating in relation to that.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's held pretty damn strong.
It has.
Like
That
it's-
car still blows my mind that it's still as popular as it is, even though it's been like, 5 years since that car was built?
So,
Yeah.
in that respect, but that's from a business respect. And then the other side of it, if you want to try to make money in cars, you
Like
need,
as a private party?
as a private party, you need to have some money.
And so like, why money? What are we talking? Because
Well, you get those little car flipper guys that are making $500 or $1,000 a car, and you can do it that way. But I mean, we got customers that are, you know, just because of their ability to purchase these cars, they're making like 200 grand a car, 300 grand a car. Like, it's crazy. And they have cars that they've got to drive for and hold for 2-3 years and sell for what they paid for them. But we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
This is not average stuff. So.
Yeah, you see it a lot now in like all the sports cars, supercar. You know, you get the allocation to be able to buy one of these kinds of cars. Like, I mean, we'll take Porsche as an example. You know, if you could get one of those cars, if you're lucky enough, you could easily turn around and sell it right away. I mean, it's so common nowadays. Everything sells way beyond MSRP.
Way over sticker.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about those cars, that's a tremendous investment. Like, if you're able to financially afford one of those cars and sit on it for a little bit, because there's kind of a rule for that.
Yeah,
which one, the Porsche GT cars?
And yeah, Porsches. There's a few cars like Mercedes, all those, a few of them where you have to hold it for at least a year.
Yeah. Oh. So if you're able to financially buy that car, sit on it for a little bit, you know, and like, you know, maybe not drive it, you're able to sell that car easily and make a fortune, right?
That's
you
crazy.
can do that.
There's guys at one point were just selling their allocations.
Oh, not even the actual car.
Yeah, so they had to change the rules.
Oh my gosh.
Then people found a bunch of workarounds, and then that changed, and yeah, there's been some shady stuff on how to make money doing that stuff.
Yeah, because I remember even, like, what's his name? Was it John Cena that got the allocation to the Ford GT?
Ford GT.
Yeah, the new
And
Ford GT. They tried to sue him, and he settled out of court or something. But yeah, I just think that's interesting. But regarding, like, cars, for example, that you guys have had, because I feel like you guys have had and have a lot of cars, but have there been cars that you guys have owned that personally has appreciated? Because sometimes in the car world, you have those cars or those gems that, I don't know. Yeah. So are there any cars that you guys have had or have that have appreciated?
Yeah. I haven't been too fortunate enough in my life, but I have had cars that have appreciated, and I've made a good amount of money. You know, in my world, it was a good amount of money. One of my classic 911 back in the day, I had a 78 911 SC. Yeah. Anyways, it was the first year 911 SC, and we imported it from Japan. It happened to be some sort of rare color, and it needed a full restoration. I drove it. It was a driver. It leaked oil, did all the things, but ended up selling it a couple years later, and easily I doubled my money.
Oh my god!
4 times the money.
It was
almost 4 times.
And that's a year later, not even.
No. It was a couple years.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I drove the car. I got to enjoy the car, and I was sad to let it go, but it was one of those kind of cars that, you know, the opportunity was there, and I didn't do it for the finances, you know, for the financial part of it. I did it because it needed to be restored, and I wasn't in a position to do it, and somebody else was. So it just made sense, right? So that was one of those rare opportunities for me, and I would have to say my daily right now, it's probably gone up in value a little bit.
Wow, okay.
You know, the 996 Porsche, it's gone up in value just simply, I think, because people recognize like they're good cars to own and drive, and because of that, the value's going up, right? I haven't had any other vehicles.
So that 911 SC that you sold, knowing what the values of those are now, would you have sold it when you did, or no?
Nothing would have changed.
Like if you could see into the future.
Because that, like I said, that car needed to be fully restored.
Yeah, but when we sold it, it was almost at the peak of all that stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The classic Porsche thing was
it was like peaking.
Yeah.
So even with, say, I think at that time an SC was like 125,000. You couldn't have restored that car. So if you would have took the restoration cost plus what he sold it for, you would have been over. So it wasn't really worth
wow. Okay.
Because it was pretty rough. Like, it was solid, but it needed a lot of love.
Yeah.
And by the time you put 60, 70 grand worth of parts in it, you're going to make, what, 15? Like, that's just parts. You're with your labor, you're losing money.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they make these calculations of like, oh, I made $1,500 off of it, it's like, that's if your time is worth nothing.
Yeah.
If your time is worth nothing, it's like, oh, well, I only worked on it like 4 weekends.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
But in reality, if you just worked overtime at your day job, you would have had more money and not had to put yourself through all the stress.
So that's all part of the formula, the calculations that, we have to think about daily. Is like, okay, well, how much time is it going to take me to do that? Can I just buy something else? Like we talk about this with parts and things like all the time. Like you can do these things. If you're a DIY guy in your garage, yes, of course it makes sense. Do it. But when you're in the shop and your shop rate is what it is, time, it doesn't really work out. So let it go. Yeah. Move on to something else.
Yeah. But in the internet world, time is free.
Yeah. Time
Everybody has an abundance of it.
Yeah.
And they're willing to give it away for nothing.
Yeah.
Because then that's always the argument. Like we've had these online arguments. It's like, if you can't do it yourself and you got to pay somebody, it's like, I see your cars. You should be paying somebody else to do this. Like it's, and then half of these cars never get finished.
Yeah.
So even at free labor, they don't get finished. So if you're paying somebody, you're probably never going to get to the other side. And you got to be choosy on which cars you're even doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's so funny because I used to have a 70s Celica, first generation Toyota Celica GT, and still one of the cars I should never have sold. But the interesting thing about that was I bought it for almost nothing, and then it wasn't running. It hadn't running like over 30 years. And so I got it. I rebuilt the carburetor, did all of these things, got new wheels, had it repainted, and after I ended up selling it, I was like, I've made some money. But then my wife started asking me. She was like, "Wait, so how much did you put into this car?" And I had never. I at that point I didn't think about it. I was just
you dismissed all that other stuff.
Yeah,
you're like for 500.
Exactly.
And I sold it for $5,000. I'm up 4,500.
Exactly. The math was mathing it. But
it cost me $9,000 to make 4,500, but.
Exactly. And that was exactly what happened to me. I just didn't think about it, or I guess I hadn't considered. I was like, wait a second. And I started adding, and I was in the deficit. Like I was like negative, like a few grand.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. This is horrible.
Yeah, and you did it all on your own.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. I didn't even count my hours.
There's no hours.
I'm just thinking about that right now.
There you go.
Because I was thinking of just parts that I spent to and I was like, but I didn't even count my hours. Yeah. And I spent a lot of time making that thing look. So I mean, it was still terrible looking, but it looked less terrible than it did when I got it.
But here's the thing. Here's the side of it that I think about when you talk about whether or not a car is an investment or not. Now, that was a bad financial investment.
Yeah.
But what was the positive side of that was the experience part of the investment was worth more than anything.
True. That's
true. How I like to look at cars. Like being able to build, drive, and just experience any one of these cars is worth more than money to me. No, and you can argue, but it's a pretty awesome thing to be able to do that, to be able to have some sort of expression of creativity if you're into doing that. Just being able to drive one of these cars is an amazing opportunity and a tremendous fucking thing to experience. Yeah, I think the investment in that is worth it.
Tim, do you don't seem to agree with that?
No.
That's bullshit.
I'm kind of in the middle between both of you because there's a part of me that's like, yes, that makes sense. But at the same time, I'm like, for the effort that I spent in that car, all the sweat, it was like freaking LA summer was like 150 degrees or some Fahrenheit. It wasn't that hot, but it was really hot. And I'm thinking, like, is that your same thoughts?
Aren't worth it. Like, no matter what you do to them, you drive it and you're like, no.
That's true. That's true. Well, a little bit of experience in life kind of tells you like whether or not to pursue that investment or not.
You got to be smart about what you're doing.
Right.
Because there's some cars that just were never good to start with.
Yeah.
So you're going to put a bunch of time and money in it, and it's all for a loss.
Yeah.
So you can write it off as a learning experience, but you got to know when to stop.
Yeah.
But some people don't. You see people get like hundreds of thousands of dollars into cars.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, we get questioned all the time. Hey, can you restore this or do this? And you're like thinking, man, why would you invest anything in that? Like, there must be such intense, connection with these
for
these cars.
The most recent one was an 87 Chevrolet Caprice.
Oh.
Yeah, and you're like, what?
And then it's funny because I quoted him based on what it would actually cost.
Okay.
And then he kept trying to go, well, maybe just like a little bit. Like, just what if you just did this? And it's like, we don't do that. If you want it patched up, go find a Mako or something. And even then, even if it's $1,500, you're not getting your money back.
No.
Like, the car is almost worthless.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you have and there's shops out there that will take advantage of people we know of one that basically pulled a midnight move because they straight up preyed on sentimental people.
Yeah.
I'll turn them down because some of those cars are just too hard to build.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I got a 63 Cadillac DeVille. Chasing parts for that thing is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And you'll never get paid for your time because here's your part. Here's the bill that it took me 6 hours
to do
find
research.
it. You never get paid for that stuff. I mean, there's some shops that are lucky enough that are doing the caliber cars that you can get away with that, but for the most part, you can't.
Yeah.
It's too hard to get your time back. So we just say no.
Wow.
And then, of course, they're disappointed and they work their way down the chain and they end up at that one guy that next thing you know, he's got $300,000 into this car that, like, some pristine example went through Barrett Jackson and got $32,000. Because it was their grandpa's car or something. You're just like, but that's not us. That's not for me.
No.
Plus, you can't get into those. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool though that you guys know, like, you kind of know what it's going to take just by looking at it or knowing what that car is. I think that's pretty cool, and probably taking you guys a lot of years. You get a lot of experience
working your way through all of those challenges is definitely what you learn from, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and there's some people that straight up like enjoy that stuff.
Yeah, some people do, right?
Like the challenge of like looking for the parts.
Yeah, so like we did this crazy
treasure hunting
Impala convertible once, and it was like I spent hours and hours, like just so much time chasing parts, and then you're in forums and you're having conversation, and it's like a whole community of people just to try to get something. But it's like, I got a guy, let me message him. And that guy's like, I don't got it, but I got a guy. So it's like 5 days before sorry man, he sold it.
Yeah.
So and then of course there's the one guy that has it that wants to hold it ransom, and he jacks you. So it's like there's just certain cars that, like, sure, you can make money at the end, but it's
not worth it.
It's not worth the work.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's what you want to do and that's your hobby, it's no different than going golfing. You're never going to get all your golf, whatever the hell, membership fees back and all that type of shit. So if that's your thing, do it.
Yeah.
But write that time and effort off as, put a value to it.
Yes.
It's like, I enjoy doing it. I'm willing to sacrifice this much money to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't feel like a loss.
Oh, that's good.
And
that's
like a lot of these guys, like we have a bunch of old guys that come in and like they basically are trying to break even, but they want
what they've spent.
Yeah, and they just want something to do, and they go and they go to swap meets and they come here and chat us up for an hour, and they go here and there and they know everybody, and it's like that's as long as they're not losing money, they're happy.
Yeah.
And then you get the other guys that are just chasing money and trying to make money, and they're just as annoying, but
yeah.
So
because it's similar to we were just looking at a Honda Civic online on our lunch break, and you were like, yeah, this guy had like how many pages of
5 pages of stuff that he had bought for the car.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is like $6,000.
I know, and I'm like, for 5 pages, and it's actually good stuff,
decent
like
stuff,
name
yeah.
brand. A lot of them were name brand stuff, and you can tell, yeah, this guy probably spent more on this, so you're probably getting this car, the chassis or the car, for free. You're just paying for the parts, and the guy's probably losing out on some of that money too, because it was a running and driving car.
Yeah, but then you choose a platform that makes sense. That may not necessarily be that guy's flavor, and you take the same quality of parts and put it into a different car. You can extract most of your money out of it.
Yeah. So what would like be one car that you could do that for? Like it just comes to your head. Camaro, like 60s.
Yeah, any Camaros, muscle cars, any of that kind of stuff. There's always
Mustangs.
Like a baseline where you're going to get a decent amount of money out of it. If it's not a rust bucket, probably not all of it. And then, I mean, the next level is like these little air-cooled Porsches.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's available for them. If you want to pick away at one, the parts aren't crazy expensive, and you can clean one up and do good on it. You do one after another downstairs.
Yeah, all the time.
Like literally, like there's just...
Literally this week, one came, one went.
One comes, one goes. And it's like just knowing the things that you need to clean up and what, you know, and you can leave a little bit for the next guy. But you do the big things and they're out the door and he's making money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because once you also document that you've done those things and you have proper, like, probably receipts and all of this stuff, then it's, because it's pretty awesome. Like, I kind of want a classic 911.
Yeah.
Just for that purpose of, like, they're good cars and there's, like, the simple things you do to them and they can last you for a long time and you still make your money back or even make more.
You'll probably cover it. Some people get lucky.
Yeah.
But those are like those weird things where you got to start getting into specific models and little trim things that changes the value a lot. So,
yeah, but just a driving experience along the way.
Well, that's one of those cars.
That's worth it, right?
That's
there.
a great car to drive as you go, and
Yes.
as you modify it and correct it, it just gets progressively better and better and better. And then some cars, like these Hondas. Sorry to pick on you Honda guys.
Every time. So, apologies. Sorry.
The more performance and the more shit you throw at it, it's like the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Like the more undrivable it gets.
Yeah.
So then you're going the other way and you're like, I got to get rid of this thing. I can't drive it anymore.
Case in point, $6,000 Honda with all the parts on it.
And it wasn't the only one.
No, there were like multiple
cars that guys had gotten a ton of money in and can't get it back out.
Yeah. So
Plus,
I think
those cars are like, why would you want to buy one of those when you can get a clean one for $3,500 and do all that stuff yourself?
That's true.
Get to pick out your own parts.
But
Yeah, you probably pick all the same parts.
You probably pick all the
But with that build sheet, that whole spec sheet of parts in that particular car, it kind of comes the assumption that car's been banging off the rev limiter.
I didn't even think
just
about
been,
that part.
Beat the hell out its entire life.
That's true.
So if you get, some, calmly driven Econobox Honda Civic,
build it yourself.
unmodified, build it yourself.
Yeah, that's true. One owner.
And why are all these cars swapped? Because the original motor was blown
Trash.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also interesting too for investment looking at the what's that thing behind us?
The Delahaye.
The Delahaye. Because I feel like, again, you're playing with a completely different clientele. You're playing with a different price range and all of that. And so, because I know it's taking you sometimes months to find parts for it.
And if you can't, you have to make them.
Yeah.
But those are the things, whereas like the end value is so crazy.
Exactly.
You have room.
Yeah.
But that's not for most people.
No.
Plus, like, just on the monetary side of it, it's crazy. So big risk, big reward.
Yeah.
But to see a project like that through to the end, like most people can't see projects through to the end when they got a parts store down the street. This guy is like, he's accidentally called me at 3 a.m. because some other guy in Belgium is also named Tim. He's like, oh, sorry, wrong Tim. I was calling Tim from Belgium.
That's so
like,
funny.
Oh shit, no problem.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I got to talk to this guy about these piston rings or something. So I mean, that's on a completely different scale. Like that's next level treasure hunt stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy's willing to jump on planes and go meet these people and do all this kind of stuff. So that's like the opposite end of the spectrum. And these are like 5, 6, 7 year builds that he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these cars are getting like $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah,
$2 million.
multi-million-dollar cars, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you're going to get it. Like, what the value is at the end. You just got to get there.
Yeah.
Whereas like some of these cars, you're taking a chance.
Yeah.
You might take it to Barrett and he's like, I saw one go for $250 and then yours goes for $60. Yeah. Whereas that, it's like, if you have one, this is what the last one sold for. So you're going to probably at least get that
Or more. Yeah.
So,
Pretty sick.
So.
Same thing with like McLaren F1s. Like again, all those are very, very high end builds or high end, not necessarily builds, but high end cars.
Yeah.
To start with, so the baseline you're starting with is already that high. So
and you're in a different class of money.
Yeah,
it's like completely different. Like some of the parts, what the cost for these cars are insane. Like it's insane. But if you can get to the end, the resale is crazy too. But you got to be able to stomach like. I need one of these. It's $62,000, and only this guy has it.
And you got to pay it.
You got to pay it.
No choice.
So there's no workaround. And those, like some of those things on there, there's very specific things that you need to have. Like you might have some leniency in some things, but some stuff you just got to pay.
Yeah, or just make it.
You don't know how long it's going to take to get the next piece.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like if. For me, I would be stressed out. I was like, okay, I'll pay the $62,000, but how soon can we sell this thing? Because I need to get that back right away. Whereas this guy, it's like, this is $62,000, but we might have to wait a year before this thing could be sold, or 2 years, or 3 years. So it's like you got a lot of money tied up. So it's not like a quick flip kind of thing. Like he has an average. It's actually funny because I've had this discussion. I think we're going to have him on the podcast at one time. Is like what it's worth for him to do it is like he sets a certain amount of return that he expects to see.
Okay.
So it's almost like a salary.
Oh.
So it's like if it takes me 5 years and I make $300,000, that's acceptable. That's $60,000 a year for me to have put in all the effort to put this together. But if it's less than that, I might as well just go get a second job.
Interesting.
Make money. You know what I mean? So that's how he budgets his stuff, I guess.
That's smart though. That's very smart.
Well, that's when you're trying to make money.
Yeah.
When you're trying to take a hobby and mix it with actually make it make sense and make it make money, so you're not lying to your wife.
yeah. There's no trying to convince her.
Yeah. You're like, sorry, I spent this much.
Yeah. Because we all show them, like, look at this thing's like 100. They sell for like $200,000. And you never tell her it's going to cost $260 to build it. It's $1,500 at a time and $2,000 and all your weekends and all your evenings. And so,
but you have, like, when I was thinking of this topic, I was also thinking of some of your cars too, because I feel like some cars that you've bought and they've gone up in value, or they've so like which ones for the audience that do not know?
Pretty much all of them. I've actually been really lucky in that respect. But at the time I purchased them, I was an idiot.
So which ones?
Like my 2.16, the Cosworth.
2.516?
Yeah, I paid $8,000 for it when I bought it.
That's crazy.
But at that time, everybody just associated those cars to like the $1,000.
Yeah, old 190E Mercedes.
Broken down, you know what I mean? And then I think we might have had something to do with the current popularity of 190s.
Yeah, definitely.
Now the values are through the roof.
Yeah.
Like even
what are the values for like a crap one or like a good one?
I think the most recent non-running crappy one was like $2,700.
That's insane.
And so a 2.5?
Yeah.
A good one
not
is what?
For 2.5. 2.3? You see them selling, like a regular 2.3.
Yeah.
But the Cosworth cars are like 25 to 50,000, depending on sort of course, kilometers and all those types of things.
Dude.
But you see, and of course you always get these guys with like, I think there was just recently a guy with like a miled out one. It had like 500,000 kilometers. He's trying to get 26,000. So, and they always post a picture of like one of the Evolution cars.
Ones. Yes,
like,
exactly.
This is 350,000. So this is cheap. But like at the time when I bought mine, I paid $8,000 for it. Everyone thought I was stupid because it's just a broken down Mercedes. But I was deeply into it. And at the same time, an Evo 2 went across and it sold for 50,000 US.
Back then.
Yeah. And now the most recent one that I seen trade was like 325 US. So that's like a $500,000 Canadian car.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But during that era, there was a bunch of cars that were like that we passed up.
Yeah.
Like I could have got a Diablo VT for $60,000.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Testarossas coming out of Japan were like $30,000.
Yeah, I think I heard about that one.
Yeah.
That's just insane, man.
And now like a cheap Testarossa is like 150, 140,000. At one point, like 2 years ago, they peaked there in 200s.
That's crazy. And then your pre-merger AMG
G-Wagon, I paid $14,000 for it, and now we don't even know the value because there's so few of them being sold. And I think the last one I've seen sell was like 48,000 US for one very similar to mine.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not crazy money, but I didn't lose anything. My 454 SS pickup, same thing. I paid 8,000 for it, and it's probably 45 or 50 grand now.
So you've been very lucky, people might say. So, but are there, for the audience that's listening, like, or the younger audience or whatever, if people want to get into this game, are there some cars that are being sold today, or cars that are maybe from the early 2000s or from the early 90s that haven't necessarily seen that bump of price yet, but based on what they are, you predict that they're gonna go up in price and become investments in the future? Again, this is just a prediction.
I would say the F-body cars, like the 80s Camaros.
Oh, the boxy boys.
Yeah, you're starting to see those come out and people asking real money for them. Like clean ones that sat in carports and garages. Because for the most part, those things dipped to a point where everyone trashed them and destroyed them. So now there's so few really clean
good ones
that the value is, it's like C10 pickups. They were free at one point.
I don't understand
like
the C10
they'd be at the end
market.
of the driveway, it'd be like $50. Like, take this pile of shit away from here. Yeah. Whereas now you can't get a rusty C10 for less than like $5,000.
Yeah, crazy.
And then you get a clean patinaed one that you see some of these like roaster shop builds and stuff based on. Guys want like $30,000-$40,000 for them.
Yeah.
And those trucks were almost worthless.
That's so crazy.
So
yeah.
Any cars, Rob? What are any suggestions?
I'm not very good with stuff like that, but I have noticed that like Fox body Mustangs are pretty popular now, and you can probably still find one reasonable, but they seem like they're coming on.
Yeah, I feel like Fox bodies.
You got to find them with like the original interiors and all that kind of stuff. That stuff always seems to like retain its value. As the more stock it is, the better.
Yeah,
numbers
which
matching.
Is super rare, especially with a car like that.
Because so much of that stuff
gets trashed
and abused.
Racing bucket seats,
all that kind of stuff.
I don't think the Camaros ever really were that good. They were pretty shit. But like nowadays, the aftermarket support on those vehicles is starting to come on pretty strong. There's a lot of really cool things for those chassis now, so that's probably a good one. And now, it's in my fantasy garage too. I'd love to have one
because it's more nostalgia from that time. So it's like our age group. You're like, oh, damn, like a '92 IROC, that'd be sick.
That'd be so sick.
Yeah. And then you drive it, and you're like, oh this thing is a pile of shit. It makes 180 horsepower
from a 5-liter V8 or something.
And next thing you know, you see a resto mod because some guy wants to build his ultimate IROC, and it's like now they're 6-figure cars.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There's not like, well, now I was going to say they're not making any more of them, but now they're actually making more of them.
They are?
No, like the the 67 Camaros, you can buy a brand new one in a box.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess all the parts. Yeah. Same thing with the Mustangs too. You can buy a whole
complete body.
I think that is so cool.
Tri-5 Chevys. I think they're doing Chevelles now. So it's like you can literally buy a brand new Chevelle.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but do you think that is going to hurt the values of these cars if people can just buy them?
No, because they're not really that much cheaper.
Brand new? No?
No, because those bodies are still like $30,000.
We're getting a brand new car.
Yeah, but if you get, some rusty body, it's at the end, you have the same car. You actually have a better car.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then, for me, I don't know, I would say... I was gonna say 90s cars, but I feel like those have already like started skyrocketing like crazy, like the Mark IV Supra, the R34.
But those again are the same cars that drop down into that like 15,
nothing,
$25,000.
I know a friend that bought a Mark IV for 20 grand, a turbo
they got
for 20 grand.
Yeah, and then they got destroyed.
Yeah,
the half of them got crushed, the rest of them got butchered. So now the values of the clean ones are crazy.
Insane.
There's a lot of cars that are going to fall through that thing.
Yeah. RX-7. It hasn't skyrocketed as much yet, but I know it's going to for sure.
If you can find one that's still an RX-7.
Yeah, that's true.
There's not
that hadn't been wide-bodied, hasn't been
wide-bodied,
LS swapped.
So if you can find a clean one, then you're already starting to see them. They're like $75,000, $80,000, $90,000.
Insane.
And those cars were like 90 new, I think. Like they were expensive.
RX-7?
FDs.
Yeah. Really? They were that expensive?
They were
new?
really expensive new.
What? I did not know that. I thought they were also like $30,000 cars new.
They were pretty expensive new.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what else there is. Like this Corvettes are...
Yeah, Corvettes, I feel like they're guaranteed. No?
I don't know. C4s are pretty
No, C4s are the worst. They were my worst generation.
So
C5s were okay.
They're decent.
They were
kind of like, pretty cool.
It's kind of like when they started getting better.
Yeah.
But the styling of the C5 was kind of its weak point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other cars. Let me just look on this wall of multiple cars. I'm sure I'll find one. I mean, I think Datsuns. Not because I have one.
Well, the Datsuns have
but
been
the 240, the 240Zs, the earlier cars, I think, are going to keep on going up. Because I feel like there was one that sold for like, it was just an outlier one, but it sold for like 400 or 300 and something thousand.
Yeah,
like 2 years, last year or something.
Special one or something.
Yeah, but like 0 miles or something.
Like undriven, found in,
Yeah.
But because they're even the ones that were restored by Nissan at the time, I think they're like $60,000.
Yeah, because they restored some in like the 90s, I think, which
like
was
Nissan took
so
them
crazy.
In, restored them and sold them for like $60,000.
Yeah.
And you can't restore that car now for $60,000.
No,
there's no way. Like chasing down all those bits and pieces. Like even the one that I have, I kind of want to sell it and just get a regular one.
Yeah, that's like good, functional.
Well, this one is a rare model, and it just doesn't make sense to cut it up. So I'd rather give it to some super Datsun to go chase his dreams.
Yeah.
What I want to do with it is, So if there's somebody out there with a clean Datsun that wants to trade for a first year,
hit us up, media@trickfactory.com. I know there was a Datsun guy that commented on one of our one of our podcasts. He sent us an email.
Oh yeah, send us.
So that was pretty cool. Yeah, his Datsun was pretty sick. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
So
nice.
It's very period.
Yeah,
the whale tail and the two-tone paint job and the center lines.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Vipers. I feel like Vipers.
I think are gonna
are a thing. Yeah. Because I feel like you can still get them. Like the Gen 1s are still like 40.
Yeah, but they're already on the way up.
Yeah.
Because like when we were looking at GTSs and stuff, they're like 27,000. We're like, man, we should buy one of these things. Now those same GTSs are like 60. So they've doubled in the last probably 5 or 6 years, and I think they'll keep going.
Yeah. Because think of it, V10, naturally aspirated, manual transmission,
death trap,
exhaust that can burn you. Unsafe, perfect
hot,
recipe.
Miserable driving experience. That's what everybody wants.
That's what people want. Yeah. The worse it is, the better it's weird. Yeah. So, and then of course, like old Ferraris and all, but those are almost, old Ferraris are unobtainium right now.
I think that some of the Ferraris that are going to come on are like the original 308 and, well, even those 308, like when I first started looking at a 308, they were like 20 grand. They were 20 grand for like 10 years. So I thought I had all the time in the world.
308
I'll get one eventually. Yeah, now they're like 100.
Oh,
but they were like 17 to 25,000 literally for like 10 years.
Even 355s used to be like 50 grand. And now they're insane. Everybody wants the manual.
Over 100.
Yeah, the F1 sound and all that.
Mm-hmm.
348s, and then there's all the weird, like the Mondials and like
all those weird. Those are ugly. I hate that car. So ugly.
You see the little wedgie original 308?
Yeah, I love that thing.
Those are cool cars.
I think
they're gonna start climbing.
People say it looks weird, but I kind of like it.
I like it.
Yeah.
AMG cars, any of the N.
AMG cars for sure.
Finding clean ones that aren't beat up.
All the V8 stuff, because I just watched a review, a Throttle House review of the 4-cylinder new C63. Did you guys know like they're actually 4 cylinders now from 2020?
4-cylinder turbo?
Yeah. I'm like, it makes like 600 and something horsepower. Wow. I think it's maybe electric-ish assisted.
Hybrid?
Maybe hybrid. I don't know the powertrain, but I know it's a 4-cylinder. And it makes like 600 and something horsepower, and it's crazy.
Insane.
I know. How can you make an AMG a 4-cylinder? I don't know. So the next, I guess, is going to be electric. But I feel like those cars are, because when I watched the review, it sounded like not a good car. Like it was good for technology and all these things, but it lost the soul of an AMG, the loud V8 with thunderous noises and all of that. So I feel like all those cars, like the W2, like early 2000s C63s are going to go up at some point, or the 55s and 63s are going to go up. They have different motors, but yeah. So those, but yeah, that's...
Yeah, I would have to imagine so. Like with the way cars are going now, you know, they're losing the sound, they're losing the, I don't know, a lot of those vibes. So these classics, like those the classics AMGs, you know, CLS 55, you know, and all those ones.
Yeah.
Man, those are great cars. They really were great cars.
Your car is probably going to go up at some point.
It's kind of on par right
CLS
now with
55, by the way.
what I paid for it.
Oh, it is? That's crazy.
And I've had it for, I don't even know, like 8 years or something, 7 years.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Right? Yeah, it's about 7 years because I got my M5 at the same time.
Has your M5 lost money, or is it still the same since you got it? V10
to be honest,
M5,
I don't really know. I have an E60 M5, and yeah, it's
probably similar.
I don't know. I can't really say for sure because I'm not really that familiar with the market, but
yeah,
it's not really
pretty close.
Okay, yeah,
but yeah, I mean, the deeper and deeper we get into these electric cars and all these types of things, I personally would assume the value of things like the E60 M5 and the CLSs, you know, these cars with the sound and the feel and you know, it's vibing on you. I think those cars are just going to go up in value.
I think so too.
Just because I think we're all going to be desperate for what that was again.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's it. Anything else? No. Perfect. Okay. Huh?
Keeping it chill this week.
Yeah.
Try not to cause a ruckus.
Okay. Yeah. So with that said, we will see you guys next week. Have a glorious weekend or week. Bye-bye.